Okay, we're up to chapter 6. Now remember, 9 has to go on a shopping spree. They need to shop so they can park the house, which is what they've done. So far they've been to the sweet shop and they've been to the candle shop, and they've started asking around after Dish. And every time they ask after Dish, they get a little bit of a frosty reception. People don't want to share information about Dish. They have the feeling that she's there, but for some reason people are really cagey about it. So, chapter 6, here we go. 9 froze, and Eric clapped his long nailed hands over his mouth. His eyes opened wide and he pointed at 9's satchel. "Candle, speak! Candle, speak!" Remember, there was a whisper from 9's satchel. 9 swallowed hard, remembering Flabbergast's very specific warning not to get a talking candle. She peeled open the flap of her satchel cautiously and peered inside. It was just a candle, just a simple, normal "Boo!" said the flame, which briefly appeared at the end of the candle. The flame looked like a little face. It then burst into giggles and then extinguished, leaving a tiny black scorch mark inside the satchel. 9 slammed down the flap of the satchel and rubbed her hand over her eyes. The day was really not going well. "Oh, sweeties," said a muffled voice from inside the bag. "Don't you dare eat my sweets," 9 hissed. There was more giggling. "Candle laugh," said Eric. "Yes, I know," 9 said irritably. "Flabby warned." "Yes, I know." "Big trouble." "Yes, I know." Eric reached hastily into his apron pocket, grabbed a large handful of boiled sweets and stuffed the lot into his mouth, making his cheeks bulge. "I'm having words with this candle," 9 said. "Come on, we need somewhere quiet. Well, it will be quiet until this candle gets there. She took Eric by the arm and led him over to what looked like a giant flowery chamber pot with a row of doors along its front. A young witch dressed in a grey velvet cloak and a lopsided hat ran towards one of the closed doors and knocked on it urgently as she jiggled on the spot. Eric gave her a really sympathetic look. 9 and Eric ducked around the back, where above a pile of chipped old chamber pots, 9 noticed a torn and faded poster nailed to the wall. It was a picture of a cheeky-looking toilet. The toilet currently in their house. To be precise, hopping away on its pedestal, followed by the words, "Wanted, runaway toilet, check your houses, reward offered, contact via message earned, thank you. Magenta, the increasingly desperate." 9 rolled her eyes. Tempting as a reward might be, there were other things they needed to focus on. She quickly peered around the building in case anyone was watching, but the coast was clear. 9 reached into her satchel, pulled out the candle, and turned it over into her hands. It looked just like a normal candle. She leaned closer to it. "Hello," 9 whispered. The flame burst into life once more. 9 jerked, her head backwards, her heart thumping, holding it at arm's length. In the flame, a face appeared again and blew a loud raspberry, its fiery tongue poking out. Then, as fast as it had appeared, the flame extinguished again. Eric covered his eyes with his hands, then peeped through his fingernails. "Right," said 9 firmly, using her best, not taking any nonsense from Candle's voice. "Unless you want me to take you right back to that candle shop, you'd better start being helpful." A tiny flame with a sulky face appeared at the end of the candle. "Spoil sport." "Now listen," 9 said, dropping her voice and bringing the candle close, but not too close. "We are looking for a dish, a walking, talking dish, who is conducting experiments. You said you knew something." "Maybe." 9 jabbed the candle with her finger. "Tell me." "Well, what's in it for me?" 9 narrowed her eyes. "I won't tie a candle snuffer on your head." "Rude," the candle pouted. "All I know is she's doing all these strange experiments long into the night. Needed some candles to work by. I was only being helpful, pointing out mistakes. Giving advice." Candle sniffed and looked rather offended. "But some people are just so ungrateful." Where is she? Said 9, hope firing inside her. She brought me back to the shop, complaining that I was distracting her from talking so much. But that was just an excuse, as the real reason was because I lit up and made her jump and drop that silver ball in her potion. But it was only a small explosion. And where is she? 9 growled through gritted teeth this time. She gave the candle a little shake. The flame on top bobbed about in the air. All right. Don't get your wickers in a twist. She's in the basement of this and that shop. The flame dimmed a little. She needed a little of this, a little of that for her experiments, you see. So there, I've told you and been ever so helpful. So please don't take me back to wax and wicks. You won't believe how really boring it is in there. 9 twisted her mouth and looked at Eric. Flabby warned, the troll said, wringing his tail. The candle's eyes became big and doleful. Please. 9 sighed and leaned closer to the candle again. No one must ever know you're a talking candle, all right? Especially... Ah, madam! Came a voice behind her. 9's heart skipped a beat as she whirled around, keeping the candle behind her back. A jiggling flabbergast and a sword-wielding spoon were coming towards them. The shopping basket floating behind them, now larger in size and filled with a polka dot cloak and a collection of colourful bottles that seemed to have muffled laughter stuck inside them. 9 quickly turned her back to them and blew out the candle. She gave an indignant squeak. She threw it into her satchel and turned back to Flabbergast and Spoon. Just using the facilities, Flabbergast said, cloak flapping as he darted towards one of the doors in the giant chamber pot. I fear I may have drunk one too many strawberry teas at the finest tea shop in all the realms. He dashed inside, slamming the door behind him, the shopping basket skidding to a halt in front of the door. I had to cheer myself up after the apothecary said she had no idea how to restore my powers. Flabbergast, listen. Spoon, 9 said to the chamber pot door. Dish is in the basement of the this and that shop. Spoon gave a whoop and leapt into the air, swishing his sword round wildly. Ah, last! Well done, lass. Madam, such news! We must go at once! Came Flabbergast's muffled voice through the door, sounding relieved in more ways than one. Well, one moment. Soon they were trotting along behind Flabbergast once more, scurrying past a shop shaped like a donut that released the most entrancing smells. The wizard, however, showed no signs of slowing, not even for a snack. Now, take heed. My Aunt Ophelia, the unpredictable, is here somewhere, and I fear Gazillion, the unstoppable, may be accompanying her. We do not wish to run into them. Ooh, we must certainly do not, chirped a voice from 9's satchel. Flabbergast stopped abruptly, and Eric, 9 and Spoon all crashed into each other as they came to a halt with the shopping basket at the rear shoving into 9's back. She gave her satchel a firm slap as Flabbergast turned around, looking at 9 with a big deep frown. Are you quite all right, madam? 9 cleared her throat. Fine, my throat. Flabbergast gave a sharp, if dubious, nod. They carried on through the winding streets, passing hordes of witches and wizards with shopping baskets floating behind them. One wizard walked by with an orange dragon-shaped bathing ring around his waist, humming happily to himself, and 9 turned her head to watch him walk by. Then a shot of cold hit her inside. Because there in the distance, but still far too close for her liking, marched Ophelia, the unpredictable, with her unmistakable wild mop of curly white hair and her emerald cloak trailing along the ground. Behind her strutted Gazillion the unstoppable, and recently the unturnipped. Gazillion! Cried 9, reaching forward and tugging Flabbergast's star-speckled cloak. The wizard gave a high-pitched squeak and dived down into a little alley on the left. 9 and the others rushed after him, the shopping basket following at such speed that it couldn't stop in time and bonked Eric right in the head this time. 9 peeped around and watched Ophelia and Gazillion walk by. The shopping basket peeped around too until 9 pushed it back. She watched Gazillion suspiciously. The wizard's blonde hair still had a very greenish tinge, and his face was still slightly mauve. He swished his mauve cloak around him arrogantly as he and Ophelia marched right through a group of witches, wizards, and other magical folk, scattering them from left and right. "Do you suppose he's forgiven you yet for turning him into a turnip?" 9 whispered. "I suspect Eric will speak in 3-syllable words before that happens," muttered Flabbergast. A large shopping basket floated behind Ophelia and Gazillion, full of a complete set of stacking cauldrons, a yellow baby dragon, and a large pot plant with clam-like toothy jaws at the end of a long stem, which snapped at everyone who passed. 9 watched Ophelia point to another alleyway opposite the one they had left down. Gazillion nodded and headed in that direction, while Ophelia carried on down the main street. They had a look of urgency as they split up and hurried off, presumably rushing to gather all their items so they could leave beyond. It wasn't long before they both disappeared from view, and 9 felt herself let out a small sigh of relief. Creeping out from their spot in the alleyway, 9 turned her eyes back to the street and found herself directly in front of the this and that shop. It was the shape of the initials that made up its name, with 2 tall towers shaped like T's, either side of a timber-framed A in the middle. Hundreds of odds and ends were plastered all over the T-shaped towers, covering them from top to bottom. 9 stood and stared at the bed-warming pans, colourful tea cosies, and griffin-shaped salt and pepper pots jutting out of the brickwork, along with dozens of items she couldn't even name, let alone imagine use for. As she looked at the shop, she wondered again where the safekeeper was. She would find him, wherever he was hiding. There was a stab of guilt at not sharing her plan with Flabbergast, that she would be doing this in secret, but 9 felt herself harden. This was what she always did, wasn't it? She worked alone. She wouldn't trust people, not with her secrets. Maybe her ma didn't either. "Make haste, madam!" hissed Flabbergast, jumping in front of 9's face and startling her. He grabbed her arm, opened the door, and bundled everyone and the shopping basket inside. And that will take us to chapter 7.